All right, welcome back everybody to the deep dive. Today we're diving into some pretty heavy stuff, a news story that really hits close to home for a lot of us, I think. We see these headlines all the time, man arrested, online solicitation of a minor. But what does that actually mean? What are the real world consequences of this? And how does this whole legal process actually play out?
Yeah, it's definitely a topic a lot of people have questions about.
Well, lucky for you, we have an expert here to break it all down. So, let's jump right in. Our source material today is a recent article from CBS News Chicago, and it details a case of, well, you guessed it, a man in Chicago who was accused of soliciting a minor online for sex. Um, before we go any further, let me just remind you, this is a complex issue with serious legal implications, so we're going to do our best to stick to the facts here, and present the information in a clear and unbiased way.
Right, exactly.
So let's just start with, the basics. The
Yeah.
article says this man was arrested and a judge decided to detain him before the trial even begins. And this is pretty serious stuff, right? It's not just a slap on the wrist and you go home.
No, absolutely not. Solicitation of a minor. I mean, that's a very serious charge. And it means, well, it triggers this whole set of legal procedures that are specifically designed to figure out like how much of a risk this person actually poses.
Okay, so, we always hear innocent until proven guilty. But it sounds like in this case, the judge is already making a judgment call about this guy, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's, a lot of people don't understand that the judge has a really important job here. They have to consider the potential danger to the community. Like, is this person going to, disappear before the trial? Are they a flight risk, as they say?
Flight risk, yeah. I hear that term all the time, but I'm not really sure, what factors into that. Is it as simple as just, does the guy have a passport?
No, it's much more than that. It really is. Judges are looking at a lot of different things. Do they have a job? Are they stable? Do they have family ties to the area? Even how they acted during the arrest. Think about it this way. If someone's got a job, they own a house, their kids go to school in the area, they're probably less likely to just, pick up and run, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So in this particular case, the judge clearly felt like this guy was too much of a risk to let him roam free before the trial.
Exactly. And like I said, that decision isn't made lightly. The severity of the charges, the potential danger to the community, I mean, especially when we're talking about a crime that, involves a child, all of those things are taken into consideration.
So let's say, this guy's in jail now. What happens next? Like, does every case like this automatically go to trial? Or are there other options?
Well, not every case ends up in a full-blown trial. Sometimes there's something called a plea bargain. Imagine this. You're accused of stealing a cookie, right? You didn't do it, but the evidence, it doesn't look good for you. You could go to court, try to fight it, but then you risk losing and getting, a harsher sentence. Or you could take a plea deal.
A plea deal. So it's like a compromise.
Yeah, you could think of it like that. It's basically saying, okay, maybe I was near the cookie jar. I'll admit to being careless, but I didn't actually steal the cookie. It's a way to try and avoid a trial, potentially get a lighter sentence.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But, what about the victims in these cases? Where did they fit into all of this legal back and forth?
Oh, that's a really important point, and it's something we shouldn't forget. The legal system, by design, it focuses on the accused, their rights, due process, all that. But the victim's well-being, that's absolutely critical, and it should never be forgotten. They have the right to be heard. They can seek support, advocate for their own safety, and of course, for justice to be served.
Right. So we've talked about the legal side of things, but this story is bigger than just one arrest, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a much bigger issue. I mean, think about it. Online safety for teens, this is something that impacts so many families.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This case, it's a wake-up call, isn't it? For parents, for educators, for everyone. I mean, this kind of thing, it's more common than we think, and it can happen to anyone.
It really can. Predators, they target young people online. And, teenagers, they can be more trusting. And the internet, well, it allows these predators to hide their true intentions much more easily.
Yeah, it's so easy to create a fake persona, fake profile online. So what can teenagers do to protect themselves in this, digital world?
It all starts with communication, with awareness. Parents, you need to talk to your kids. Talk to them about online safety, about setting boundaries, about the warning signs, the red flags. And teenagers, you have to be careful about who you're interacting with online. And don't be afraid to say no, if someone is making you feel uncomfortable.
It's like that saying, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. And if something doesn't feel right, Talk to someone. Talk to a trusted adult. Don't keep it bottled up.
This has been a really important conversation. So for our listeners out there, what's the one key takeaway you want them to remember from this deep dive?
Knowledge is power. The more you know about the dangers that exist online and you know about how the legal system handles these really complex cases, the better prepared you are to protect yourself and everyone you care about. And always remember, if you see something that seems wrong, say something. Don't be afraid to speak up. You could be the one to help prevent something terrible from happening.
Well said. And that leaves us all with something to really think about. How do we create a safer digital world, for everyone, but especially for our young people? A huge challenge, but it's a challenge we need to face head on. Thanks for listening to the deep dive today. And remember, stay curious and stay safe.